Alright, what's up guys? This is what if Issei drank from the Fountain of Youth. So he's going to have a similar kind of experience as Bond did. Only in this version it went a little bit different. So Issei is doing his normal thing and there's a forest next to Kuo, which Issei actually went to go visit in one day. And sadly, an unfortunate event would happen. A demon, a stray demon, would attack. Sir Zex, being the one who had to dispatch this thing, goes over at full force and stomps it out. He didn't see Issei's dead body, sadly. As Issei was dying, the forest said, "Here," giving up the Fountain of Youth. This doesn't destroy the forest, as Sir Zex completely fixed the forest. Seeing as the Fountain of Youth was now gone from said forest, a few super deities and everything were confused. All of them were confused on who drank the Fountain of Youth, and why they weren't flaunting that they were immortal now, since, anyone who had ever tried drinking one before did that. Then this is where Sir Zex says, "I was there, it shouldn't have been destroyed." Well, at least a few days ago, as they went all there and said, "I guess it was." Then they noticed the cup is just empty. It's odd. And this would happen to Issei, and I'm going to say I'm going to work with the Fountain of Youth just a little bit differently, where it doesn't matter when you drink the Fountain of Youth, like at what age, it'll return you to the age of 20 years old once you reach that, and then you'll live out the rest of forever as 20 years old, or at least looking that way, which, that's just what I'm going to go with. So Issei, who just basically walked to school like normal afterwards, thought it was just some bad dream. But then he actually got cut by scissors. I noted he wasn't injured, not even a little bit. Which slightly surprised him. But not really that much. Alright, I'm back guys, just had to deal with something on my arm. Anyway, so yeah. Issei is just confused, just a little bit. He just instantly healed with steam coming out of his cut. Over the next few years, he noted that, that he just doesn't think he'll ever die. As this is when some memories pop up that he didn't even know about, that he woke up and saying, "Young boy, what you drank was the Fountain of Youth. Normally I couldn't talk to you like this, but being that you can't die, this just has a bad strain on your body." And he said, "I guess I'm with you forever then." "Well then I may as well make you strong," Drake states in one of Issei's dreams. Issei saying, "Alright. How do I awaken you? You must strengthen your body. And your mind. And magic. I'll basically train with you every night, as it'll just tear your body up a little bit." Alright. They do this every night for about 2 years, which is when we get to current time. And in canon, this is when he meets Yuma and all that happens. And that would go normally, as Drake wouldn't guess that this was a fallen angel, though he thought a little bit of it. Seemed something like a fallen angel, but he didn't really figure it out. And he figured, whatever, my host is already stronger than I was in my peak, so I really don't care. And yes, Issei is that strong. After 2 years of training with Drake and being immortal, he got so durable and everything where he could probably take a destruction blast and just flick it away like it's nothing. This would lead to a few things being different, though. As he stood there, not really caring when he woke up, went to school, that'll happen as canon. Hold on a sec. Alright, back to the video. As he's confused, nothing like this has ever happened before. He's just never had to deal with some supernatural creatures like this. He knows about the student council being devils and about Rias and that whole group, but he didn't really care, as he saw none of them as being real threats to him. This is when he meets someone who actually is a threat to him. Really. Not really, but still. Meeting Yuma, her turning into Rainier at the end of the date, that all goes the way it would. But in this version, Issei said, "Oh, so you're just a fallen angel? With 2 wings?" She said, "What do you mean?" After striking with the light spear, he said, "Well," as mist started to flow off of him, You see, I'm Issei Hyodo. I'm the one who drank from the fountain of youth. I will never age or die after I hit my 20s, and I can never die. I will heal from any wound inflicted upon me. And you? Let's just say it easily. You'll die. Hearing this, she is terrified. She tries to get away, throwing light spears at Issei. Issei said nope, catching them, though they slid through his hands and hit him in the shoulder, saying, oh, guess I can't catch him. Whatever, as he started just walking forward, terrifying Rainier. Rainier even says, how are you not dead? I'm literally throwing everything I have at you. As the other three would appear, trying to stop Issei, and actually successfully put about 12 light spears inside Issei's chest, and Fried was able to put a few bullets in Issei's chest as well. This would lead to a little bit of surprise whenever Issei straight up just stood back up, not even caring. Even saying, is that all you had? But this is when Rias and her peerage would appear to more of save the day, telling them to back away and that they would protect him with their lives if they had to. Issei being surprised by this, but he still would be the one summoning them, and he had actually stated the words that would terrify them. Listen here, devils. Rias Gremory. I don't care about the rest of your names. But he said, why'd you give me that flyer? In case something would happen to you. We knew she was a fallen, we just couldn't act against her without starting a war. Issei hearing this is like, alright, so why did you come here now? Well, simply put, it's self-defense. One of our clients summoned us to protect them, she put in quotes, from 4 fallen angels. This is where he says, but there's one problem. Even if I am your client, I never asked that of you, 1. 2, I probably could deal with them like they're nothing to me. 3, what could you do to me? Or what could they do to me at all? They were literally unloading light spears on my chest. Hearing this, they're like, what do you mean, unloading light spears on your chest? As they see his shirt ripped to shreds. He can heal, his clothes cannot. Seeing this, they're like, dude, do you need a spare shirt? Kiba asks. So he's like, yeah, bro, you got like a black tank top, a red t-shirt, anything like that? And Kiba basically just pulls like one out, saying, will this work? It being a red tank top, he's like, sure, man, I guess. As he threw off the burned and ripped apart garbs, covered in blood, and just puts on this. Noting his pants were still just fine, that'd be fine. And this is when Akeno does something unexpected. Oh, what a cute body. This is when Rias actually asked if he would like to join her peerage. She needs a powerhouse to help her with something. This is when Issei said, well, what does this grant me? Well, devils live for almost ever. Not gonna help me. What do you mean, you wouldn't want to live forever? I mean, I already will. What? Could this rid me of my immortality, though? It might. You may only live a few centuries instead of the forever you think you would from the Fountain of Youth. Hearing the chance to go immortal again, he actually says, I'll take you up on that offer, Lady Gremory, but on one condition. You have to beat me. Hearing this, they're like, what do you mean, beat you? Beat me in a fight. As he threw off the t-shirt he was just given, saying, I'll return to this later. Remember, I've drank from the Fountain of Youth. There's nothing you can do that could harm me. Her doing her destruction, saying, okay. Hitting him with that in the arm just to show she could hurt him. This took off his arm and made it basically gone. And he said, wow, I'm impressed. As it steamed back to normal in about 10 seconds. Saying, but you're nowhere near the power of the original person who's trained me. As they all threw attacks at him at once, even Kiba hitting him with something that stole the ability of healing. So he was actually surprised he couldn't heal anywhere near as fast, but this still didn't kill him. As he eventually just beat them beat Kiba by putting him and knocking him out with one hit to the mouth. Konako, he straight up just outsped her and then just at full speed hit her once, which knocked her out. Konako and Rias both went for their full-powered attacks, just for Issei to just send them both flying to the sides, and then one-tap both of them. As they all were laid out, Issei walked back to his house. And Issei, he doesn't have parents in this version, sadly. They passed the same day he got the immortality of the Fountain of Youth. As kind of a dying wish, the parents kind of asked the fountain to grant Issei immortality to survive. But they were not so lucky. They died instantly, dealing with the devil. Now this made it where Issei has lived alone for the past long time. He usually can just use his abilities to keep the house good, since it was already paid off by his parents and everything was paid, and they left him thousands of money. But they were also found dead, which they were about to take Issei away when they realized he was already old enough to basically be alone. Now I'm not really saying be alone, but like a family member could be there, or someone who adopted him. Now I'm gonna say a regular human did, but they're actually a mage who knew about the Fountain of Youth, who just didn't really care, just so they could seem like they were there. And this person is always out and has their own house anyway, in like a whole nother city, so they really don't matter. I'm gonna say it was like, the name of the person is just gonna be like, I'm just gonna name him Brock. And Brock just literally just gave him that, just literally was there just so Issei could be in his childhood home. He doesn't even live in the city of Kuo. He just goes whenever he pleases. But he's also one of the strongest mages of humankind, who hasn't aged in over 200 years because, well, he used a magic spell that stole his ability to age, but also allowed him to travel through any point in time he wished, which he can't really travel forward, but he can travel to any point backwards, which basically helped him. Then we go off to Issei saying, as they all wake up, and Issei's, let me put this easily, he's loaded in this version. Like, he's a multi-trillionaire. Imagine Bruce Wayne money, like, that rich. He's that kind of rich. He'll live forever, and he's rich enough to where he can do whatever he wants. But he's smart enough to invest his money and always get more and more and more. And then, they all wake up individually, and this is where they say, "Where am I?" Kiba grasping his sword, saying, "Where are they?" Trying to draw a sword to Issei, as Issei said, "Calm down, look to your side," seeing them all laid out on beds of their own. In, not really beds, but on different parts of couches. Rias woke up saying, "Wow, this was the softest couch she'd ever felt." So this was a tycoon, as I'm going to say, it was called Tycoon of, well, Kuo. Tycoon of Kuo. As in the richest person there. He's probably the second richest person alive out of ever. This made it where Issei said, yeah. Kind of surprising them, saying, "Wow, we weren't expecting a celebrity." And whatever. Not many people know what I look like, so it's not really a big deal. Anyway, I'll take that whole thing to join your peerage, Rias, as she put 8 pawn pieces into his chest. And this is when he just kind of just popped his shoulder, saying, "Wow, I can feel the devil wings." But as he took his arm and tried chopping it off completely, it healed in an instant, saying, "I still heal." Were you saying, what would you do if that didn't heal? Honestly, probably try to die. Why? Well, you wouldn't have wasted your pawn pieces, as if I were to die, they'd all go back to you, and I'd be just gone. I'd be relaxing once again. Whatever. As Issei basically started just walking around, as he said, "Would y'all like something to eat?" They said, "Sure." All, enjoying a good meal, which Issei made. As they all went to their separate ways, to their own houses, this is where he actually said, "Hold on." As they all stopped, he said, "Hey, Konako, here." Throwing her a giant chocolate bar, which she had only seen like 3 of these. These were like the most expensive and best chocolate around. Her thoughts were, if she could only afford these more. it took literally like 4 different jobs that were high paying to afford one piece of this chocolate, much less a giant chocolate bar of it. Asking how much was this, and he said, don't worry about that. Akano, her turning her head saying, what is it? Here, as he threw her something which she was confused. What is it? It's lightning in a bottle. What? It's literally lightning in a bottle. I kind of captured some when I was speaking to a fallen angel that had lightning. What was the... And she said, why would you... How did you capture it? And this is when Issei would say, simple. What I did was I took the bottle, and when he threw a lightning bolt at me, I absorbed most of it and then put it in the bottle and closed the top to it. Wow. And being that I think it's like some weird lightning, it won't ever seem to go out. True. As she recognized it as her father's, but didn't say anything. As it was kind of just a gift. Then he said, Kiba, here. Picking up his sword, which surprised Issei that anyone even knew what the sword was. It was a pitch black katana that made any sword Kiba made other than his balance breaker looked like they were trash. He says the demonic sword Voltine. It's basically the void incarnate. Anything it slashes will basically have a void there, sucking up the blood and everything, killing them. You should only take one slash to kill anything you have to deal with. Kiba saying thank you. Then saying, oh, and I didn't forget about you, Rias. Saying here, as a straight up surprised look on her face, she's saying, what's this? Well, I mean, if you want to, you can stay. Live with me. Why would I do that? Well, simple. We could all live, together, that way we can all keep in touch with each other. Better, at least. True. Kiba saying, I don't know, man, really, should I? And Nisa said, well, give me someone to train with. Alright. As they said, we'll move our stuff in tomorrow. Cool. Next day they go to school, then they all move their stuff into Issei's place after school. This is when Issei would still have to deal with the whole thing, and they actually said he may have sacred gear. Issei says, yeah, it's called the boosting gear. And yeah, I'm kind of the immortal wielder of it, so I'm kind of stuck with it. And this is when, do you have a goal for your life? He says, yeah. I want to try creating every single gear into my body. What? But that's literally suicide to any creature. He's saying, exactly. If it can kill anything, maybe it could even take me out. Alright. Well, we can help you with your goal, but as mortal as you seem to be, I don't think it'll even work. True, but it's worth a shot at least. Alright. As he would just go through his normal thing. And then, whenever he met Asya, that was basically the same thing as canon. And then he has to deal with what happens, meeting her again, and the Fallen Angel. This version, she got there, she threw a light spear at Issei, trying to surprise him. Issei was able to catch it, used it as a toothpick after the burger he had eaten, said thank you, and tried throwing it back just for Rainier to just vanish. As Issei was kind of pissed off at this, saying, I'm gonna get you. Telling Reese and all them about what's going on, her still saying the same stuff she did in canon, and him basically charging there to see Konako and Kiba there too. And this is where Konako's saying, we're fighting a ton of exorcists, you owe me a chocolate bar. Hearing this, seeing only Freed blocking their way, Issei said, oh, it's you. Freed being like, wait, what the fuck are you doing here? No, I am out. As right when Issei punched him in the stomach, he threw a light down, which kind of blinded Issei for a second, just for Freed to vanish out in his own, special little, seal, just to vanish. Allowing him to just basically escape. But that was basically all it did. As he was like, oh, I am out of there. And now, I'm safe. For at least a little bit. He very much thinks that. But he is very wrong. And he is very royally fucked over. But, like in canon, we going on. Now, this is when Issei's training his, immortality, letting Konako beat on him, saying, you need to get more speed. Her saying, alright, as she started doing running with her power on, and saying, Kiba, you need to get more durable, you have to tank punches. As he let small punches out, like weak ones, every few seconds, while Kiba was jogging. Not running, but jogging. Even if Kiba was going full speed, Issei could just catch him and smack him at any point, but he wanted to make it where it was easy. So Konako was trying to outspeed Kiba, and Kiba was trying to outstrength Konako, just for a practice thing. This makes a actually very surprised Akeno. But back to the whole thing, they basically bust in there, and yeah, they get her the same condition. Issei still took the gear away from Rainier and actually gave it back to Asya. And Asya saying, as he said, could you turn her into a devil? Ria saying, sure, turning Asya back, reviving her. Issei holding her and her being alive again, them all kind of just moving her in. As Issei just goes through his normal daily life, then something oddly, completely unexpected would happen. There's a creature that he was never expecting to see again. There's his uncle. At least the man he thinks is his uncle, which went by a whole different name. The one I said went by the name, Brock? He appears and saying, you know what, I think it's time you knew my real name. Hearing this, he says, what do you mean? It's not Brock? Oh, you should know better. As Azazel starts laughing. Yeah, it's Azazel actually, guys, just for a little bit of a surprise. Though, Issei was never really that surprised since, they seemed like they'd be the same kind of person, so never really changed his mind. Saying, alright, so what's up? And, well, I hear you're a devil now. Kind of pisses me off since I was thinking about turning you into a fallen. And this is when Issei said, couldn't you just add it on? Do you not have any idea what kind of strain that would do to your body? Does it matter? Fair. Well, maybe later. Not right now. I would like to see what that would do, but not right now. Confused, saying, what do you mean you'd like to see what that would do? Well, simple. Devil and fallen angel magic do not get along at all. I mean, there's some, but not very many. And that's mainly just people using the same exact element do a different kind of magic. And that's basically all they can do. Which surprises Issei a little bit, but back to the whole thing. This is when Reese would still pop in his room and try to seduce him. But then, something completely surprises Reese. When Grafia tries teleporting in, she is completely stopped. Not by Issei's uncle, who just vanished again, back to, where he lived in his own little house in Kuo, but by someone unexpected. It was Issei. He put a barrier up on the house so no one would be able to get in there unless they were given permission by him. And he currently didn't care about giving anyone permission. This is when Grafia said, fine, as she teleports outside the house, and then knocks on the front door. The seal kind of doesn't really care about the front door. If someone's allowed in, but through the front door, they're kind of allowed in, no matter what. This is whenever she got in there, she noted there's a complete aura of power around here. As she basically ran up to Issei's room, finding Ria, saying, you should not do that right now. What would your parents think if they saw you with a low human like this? And this is when Issei said, what did you just say? And she said, didn't you hear me? You're just someone who's weak. With Issei just powering to his full force, looking down at her, saying, really, I am. This is actually not his full force, but it's the full force he'd use normally, which is about half of the strength of the Mao class, like the Demon Lords. But it was still more than 99.9% of devils could handle. I'd say the only ones who can probably handle it are the 4 Satans and the queen. And the strongest queen being, you know, Grafia. This surprises them, saying, what? There's never been a devil that strong other than those 4. Grafia even, but then powering up, saying, oh, and myself. Looking down at Issei, saying, you're still weak. As Issei laughed, saying, oh, so you actually are that strong. As he powered up to his actual full force. Something he would fight against gods with. Then saying, am I still weak? I'm also the drinker of the fountain of youth, and the only one to be considered immortal, by all means. Hearing this, she's like, what? That was you? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Any other surprises you're going to tell me about? As he just pops out the boosted gear, saying, oh yeah, I'm also the wielder of the boosted gear. Saying, what? This is all types of bullshit, whatever. Fine. Well, then we'll talk about this tomorrow. Remember that. Ezra still had to leave and all that, so he was like, alright. Well, talk about this tomorrow. See what happens. So the next day, they go in, they're in the club room, and something unexpected at all would happen. Riser would be like, oh, Riser is here, and he's like, yada, yada, yada. Issei says, who's this guy? Looking eye to eye with Riser, like they're dead stalemated in power. Saying, I'll tear you to shreds. Issei saying, you wouldn't be the first one to try it. Then again, it doesn't really work out well. I'll tear you to shreds. The Phoenix family not really caring about the Fountain of Youth, and the Fountain of Youth people not really caring about the Phoenix family, since they basically steal each other's stick. Anyone who drinks from the Fountain of Youth has the same powers as the Phoenix family, and the Phoenix family have all the same powers as the Fountain of Youth, only without the fire, and all that. Instead of fire, it's steam for the Fountain of Youth, so yeah. This is when Issei, the whole rating, it was decided Issei would still train everyone. Ki would get twice as strong as he was in canon. Konako would get twice as fast as she was in canon. Rias and Akano would both become at least twice what they were in canon. This entire team was made of powerhouses. But then, an unexpected event would happen. Riser still only brought those 2 Phoenix Tears. But they both went to the Queen. Now, this would never be able to take on Issei at his power. But they do something unexpected. They have seals from mages that are made to be able to stop people's power. And being that they kind of just slip these in, and they'll have a little bit of Phoenix marks on them, so they won't take any power away from the Phoenixes, but they will basically cut everyone's power into a quarter of what it is. This still keeps Issei around the power of, Grafia, about that same strength as Grafia. Him thinking, oh, I just have this much power to go with? Whatever. But everyone else is weak that they can barely even fight. Issei saying, I'll just leave the front lines. Y'all, stay here. Protect Rias. And they said, okay. Give him hell. As Issei basically just walked out, not really caring. Not really caring at all. This utterly surprises everyone. Seeing that Issei basically isn't as affected as everyone else, the entirety of Riser as a team would attack Issei. Him knowing that even this would be a little bit of a struggle, but not enough. Maybe if they had one more helping hand. This is when Riser would throw a fire attack, which would almost tear apart Issei, which took his arm off from burning it. As it was like, oh, one arm, now what are you gonna do? As basically, he said, whatever, as he grew a new arm, saying, now fight me, nerd. Surprising everyone, saying, wait, he literally just recovered like it was nothing. This when Riser said, no way, no one can recover like the Phoenix family. This is when Issei would say, oh, so you're that family. Y'all are kind of weak. Y'all's region is trash. How dare you? As they both went kind of to blows. Just for every time Issei would land a hit on Riser, he would get hit by a blast. And this would weaken him even more, because every attack would also suck some energy out of him. Every time he would throw an attack, it would get twice as much energy sucked out of him through the seals. And there was even an immortality seal placed on Riser, and one that made him immune to all damage, which he was literally hiding since they were kind of illegal things to have in the games. And no one could see them, so he was kind of getting away with that. And then when Rias and the rest of her crew all arrive to try stopping Riser, they kind of all get beaten down to a bloody pulp. And this is when Rias still claims defeat, just for Issei to wake up saying, "Oh, that sneaky fucker." Riser not having any more seals, they all burned away in the final attack Issei did, just for it to take him all down. This did lead to a very bruised and beaten up Riser, who was even saying those seals really didn't do much. But they did make him weak enough for us to win. And then saying, well, we're fresh out of seals, so I think we're fine. But I think we're fine. With Rias' power and the peerage as our side, only Sir Zex may even be a problem, even that wouldn't be much. Noting as they basically walked in, as they walked outside and all that, doing their thing, Issei busts in the door like a madman, starts wailing on people left and right, just to say, "Riser, I challenge you to a duel. No tricks, no talismans, nothing. Just me and you." Hearing this, they're like, "Alright, duel him." Then they see the duel. One, Issei goes into balance breaker, which he can do at will at this point. So it's just beating down on Riser and hitting him with every single combo. Then he turns off his balance breaker since he can only handle it for about 15 seconds. And as it turns off, he said, "Whew, kind of exhausting." As Riser said, "Ha, you can't use your balance breaker, yada yada yada," and goes to actually attack Issei, severing his right arm. As it's severed, he said, "Aww, you really don't learn well, do you?" As his arm kind of popped back up. As he kind of just took it off the ground and put it back on, it healed. This is when Issei would chop Riser's right arm off. Riser saying, "Oh, really?" As he picked his own arm up and healed it, saying, "Oh, this is gonna be stupid." Everyone noting that the Phoenix family is far superior to any other immortal-looking thing, no matter what this boy's trick was. And this is when Sir Zex said it's not a trick, it's the fountain of youth. Them hearing this like, wait, what? That's the only thing better than our regeneration and regeneration stats. Yeah. Good luck. Hearing this like, wait, what? Yeah, he could probably take on me, honestly, with a little struggle. So yeah, your boy's screwed. As Riser's just getting beaten down to the point where he's basically not even standing, he's literally being held up by Issei to get punched in the face. Just for him about to do his strongest dragon shot, right to finally slay the little Phoenix. Ravel stands in the way, and Issei said, "Fine, go." As he kind of just vanishes, Issei winning, and then going through now we have to go through the Kokabiel fight. That would basically go everything is canon until he has to go deal with Kokabiel himself. Kokabiel threw spear after spear into Issei, and Issei basically said, "You're weak, Kokabiel. Warmonger, lightweight." Every step he took scared Kokabiel. As he said, "You know what, kid? Fine." As he threw the biggest light spear, which would have actually ripped apart everything, and maybe even killed Issei if he wasn't, immortal. It was able to go clean through him and leave only a drop of blood left. As they said, "Ha, with only a drop of blood left, he's nothing." Around 5 minutes later, Issei stood up, saying, "Well, you ripped my clothes apart, but that's about all you could do. But that was all you were, is a drop of blood. True, but if you would have destroyed that drop of blood, you may have killed me. But you didn't." As he just beat down on Kokabiel, as that whole thing with her joining the team all happened. Then we gotta deal with we have to deal with the rest of the events. So, yeah. Volley isn't even a threat. The first thing Volley does is try to divide Issei's abilities, and maybe even divide him where he's back to mortal. But all he's able to do is just put a divide, which divided him for like half an hour, and he still said, "You done yet?" Honestly, I'm stronger than the original dragon, so you're nothing to me. Hearing this, he's actually so surprised that he actually was giving out his power, and is done. Only for Issei to basically say, "You know what? Become strong enough to actually be called my rival," as he would basically vanish it away. Then, Issei had to deal with the rest of the whole fight. Sorry if y'all can hear that, guys. I don't know why, but I think there's planes around here. Now, this is when we see the whole fight happen where he has to deal with... I'm going to skip some time saying Loki. So Loki is kind of not going to do much. The first thing is Loki said, "You may be immortal, but you are no god," throwing attacks at Issei. Issei saying, "You're right, I'm no god. I'm worse, I'm a devil." And then, right when he was actually given Mjolnir to do it, because that was the only thing they thought Mjolnir would be needed, but Issei was just like, "Sweet, a hammer." As he picked it up, even when trying to transfer a few boosts into it, swinging this down, and then the whole plague on all your houses would happen. But whenever Issei got bit, he straight up just said, "Bad dog," and slapped it down. And it just kind of got taken by Arthur, as that was kind of what they wanted. Just for Loki to be imprisoned, and Issei just living his normal life. Then they have the whole thing, announce the whole raiding game party thing, whatever. Then Issei winds up having to fight. They wind up going down the list. Everything goes as canon until the riser, until the actual fight with Cyber-Org. In this version, Issei says, "Ooh, I feel some fight in him." And they go punch to punch, but nothing happens. Literally zero effects have to happen. No one's injuring him. No one's even slowing him down. It's doing literally nothing. This is when the golden armor had to be busted out to try stopping Issei, just for Issei to bust out his own gear and go balance breaker. And this is where, in the end, Cyber-Org is still passed out and Issei is left with no scratches on him. Then, he's kind of worried what should have happened, as he asked him if it would be alright if he found a way to, remove Dragon Albion. Now, this has been a plan that Aziz has been working on for a little bit, but he hasn't found a way to do it just yet. Then, everyone else figured out how difficult it was as well. It's an almost unstoppable feat of strength that no one really had, except for Issei. You need to be at least as powerful as God from the Bible was to do it. You'd literally have to rip it all out, take him out, and he'd still have to recover for around 2 years to regain his true power. He'd probably be about a quarter of what he originally was, and that's at very, very most. Issei saying, "Alright," and actually having Sir Zex assist him, and he's barely able to assist, saying, "Alright, here's all my power." This is when Michael and, Azazel both put their power in too. And all the other ones put their power in as well, for Issei to pop, just to see Drake in a tiny dragon form, shorter than Issei. And this was in dragon form. He said, "Why am I so small?" "I guess you are very weak right now." "Well, you need to rest up and get strong enough to actually fight the white one." "What?" "Yeah, I'm debating whether I should take him out too. Volley could win the fight, but I don't know. Volley may be strong, but I don't think he's anywhere near ready to fight me." This is when Issei kind of just said, "I'll be right back," as he vanishes and comes back in about 2 minutes, coming back saying, "Hey, as Issei said, I just released Drake from his seal, from being the boosted gear. Alright? Is this just a glow?" "No, I was wondering if you want to be released as well." Volley saying, "You should if you want to." This is when the White Dragon Emperor said, "Sure. But why? It'll take around 2 years for you to recover, though. I also need some power lent to me." This is when everyone tried putting more power into him, but noting They take everything they had to just bust one heavenly dragon out. What happened if they tried getting the other one? It would take just as much power, if not more so, since the power divide kind of just messed with all their abilities. As Issei then thinks, I know what to do. I'm still at about half strength. That just took about y'all's power and half of my own. Knowing that they made up half of the power needed, he just needed to get his full strength back, which he did, and then so Zack did as well, just to lend him enough to be able to keep standing. This kind of made everyone surprised. The two heavenly dragons looked up to Issei in a sign of respect, though it was already shown that Drake was a little bit taller than he was from the beginning, being eye to eye with Issei instead of being to his chest. Though Albion, who had just got out, saying, I guess I'm smaller. And Issei said, only for now. You'll literally regain your true strength in about 2 years. He's only been out for about 2 hours. That's what it took for us to recover. So, yeah. So, he's got an extra 2-hour lead on me. I mean, yeah, but y'all can literally just make that up in about 10 seconds, right? As he said, train with me for a little while then. So they kind of evened it out, as they were able to just keep going. As Issei became known as the strongest ever, even attaining the rank of God, helping people pray and all that, noting as he cut his own arm open to create the next fountain of youth for whoever would need it next time, taking away his final thing, only living off his devil immortality for a long time, then finally saying, I'm free, as he died surrounded by the people he cared about, his children, his harem, and his entire family. The people he had seen as family. Though it was more along the lines of dying of old age, they done the same as with him. All of the ladies were ancient at this point. Been about 5,000 to 6,000 years. Give or take a few hundred of them, and they were just there. They were as old as could be, as was Issei. As they finally passed on, Issei being finally free of his curse, being completely done. His children would take over the mantle that was left by Issei. Not one of them needing to grab the, Fountain of Youth, as they have kind of their own little small variants of the Fountain of Youth in their own body. They won't live forever, but they may as well. They could if they wanted to, but they can all make their own Fountains of Youth and die at any point they want. They each live to around 5,000 and wind up in a final goodbye, saying they're done. Giving out making tons of Fountains of Youth, which Issei's is the largest and by far the strongest, being like basically the fuel to the Amazon rainforest, and everyone else's being smaller forests. Even some being less than half a city long. As he said, as he finally was joined by his family, now we can all rest.